So here's the link to the sign-in sheet. I'm sorry, my brain just, it's been a long day, to the sign-in sheet. And so it's just to give us an idea of who is actually here, especially when we're going to meet with you, because we expect that you've attended this meeting or watched the video on your own. And so we want to make sure that you have all the information. At some point, Ms. Wilkes is going to pop in, but she's here just to observe and see if there's any questions. And so let me go ahead and get started. Pretty much, so just so you know, I'm over Chattahoochee Tech or any two-year colleges. Ms. Rohrbach, on the other hand, does all of the four-year schools, mostly KSU. And we've had some other students do like Embry-Riddle, and I think we've had a Georgia State. I know we've had Georgia Highlands, and they sort of fluctuate between being a two-year, four-year. They've got four-year degrees, so she usually takes care of that. So just so you guys understand, the purpose of dual enrollment is the ultimate goal initially was to increase access to post-secondary education for Georgia high school students. That was the reason way back when the state decided to do it, was the reason for that. It also can increase graduation rates. And I know that sounds strange, but there are some programs that allow students to be able to, if you're not a strong student and you need a different way of graduating, there are ways to be able to go about doing that through what they call option B. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. The other part of that is to prepare a skilled workforce. And so there's some training through stuff like welding programs and computer programming and things like that, that allow students to earn their degrees in that. It also decreases the time spent and the cost of completing post-secondary degrees. And so especially if you're someone who's planning to go beyond that four-year degree, this definitely can save time, it can save money. I know a few years ago we had a student who wanted to be a vet, and so she was trying to save as much money as possible before she had to continue going on beyond her bachelor's. So the benefits of dual enrollment: it's going to help students prepare and transition to a 2 or 4 year school after high school, if that's their choice. Some students will opt to potentially earn that technical certificate or diploma. Let me see if I can make that a little bit smaller. That's not on the screen here. It's going to provide with a more flexible schedule and greater access to course offerings. For instance, we are, we're limited in terms of what we can offer as a high school, but taking dual enrollment courses opens up those opportunities a little bit more. They do meet that academic rigor requirement for HOPE. It's going to save you money. You can start pursuing those career goals earlier. For instance, people that might be interested in pursuing a business degree, maybe they start taking some of those courses, or someone that wants to go into automotive or welding can also take those courses as well. There's not a residency or citizenship requirement for dual enrollment, which is different than what happens when you get to federal aid and then state aid. So students who are undocumented, there's a benefit to them doing it because they can get some college classes in and not pay that international rate or whatever the colleges are charging. You can attend multiple colleges and universities. I've never personally had anybody do it, but I do know of students that have done it, where they might take 2 classes at KSU and take another one at Chat Tech. You have to apply separately to each school and be accepted to each school, and you cannot exceed that 15 credit hour per semester. And so that's the caveat there. So who's eligible? And this is something that has changed. 10th graders, in the past, it used to be 9th through 11th through 12th graders could take anything they wanted. There's limited courses for 9th graders, but now only 10th graders can only take classes that are considered career tech or CTAE. So you'll see CTAE and career tech used interchangeably. High achieving 10th graders can take core classes, but they have to have taken the SAT and scored a 1200 or an ACT and scored a 26 prior to the term they wish to enroll. So those students, if they wanted to apply for fall, would already have needed to take in this SAT or ACT and pass it and had those scores. And so that's, again, they've limited the options for that. So most of our students are going to be 11th and 12th graders. And then they're approved to take any courses that are through any of the approved privates, technical schools, or USG schools, which is University System of Georgia. All right, so, sorry, it keeps popping up. What courses are eligible? And like I said, they've made those changes. And so core academic classes, the areas that are used for your HOPE scholarship. So that would be things like anything that falls under English, math, science, social studies, and your foreign or world languages. And so those are the courses now that are going to be paid for through dual enrollment. They will also pay for career tech classes through the technical colleges. And so that does open some, additional courses, for instance, criminal justice, computer programming, computer security, those types of things, welding, automotive. And so there is a course directory in the dual enrollment section on Georgia Futures. And just so you know, if you did have a student that, or a child that participated in dual enrollment prior to, this semester or summer, they could take fine arts and health and personal fitness or physical education classes. That is not something they'll pay for anymore. So things like your music appreciation, art appreciation, any of those, they do not pay for them through HOPE. Through dual enrollment anymore. It's one of the things they phased out. So how to find a list of eligible courses. If you go into Georgia Futures, and you'll see the tabs across the top, it says HOPE and state aid programs, and I've pulled a screenshot of that. You scroll down to state scholarships and grants, and as soon as you click on that state scholarships and grants, that first tab is dual enrollment. And so you'll go into that, and on the left-hand side, you'll see something that says Course Directory 2020-2021, beginning summer 2020. And when you click on that, it's going to take you to this page, and right at the top, and I hate it because it's really light blue, so it's hard to see if you're not looking for it. It says Dual Enrollment Course Directory. And so once you open that up, you will be able to see all of the courses that they will pay for now. So you'll go in and you're going to choose, I don't think I did that there, but you're going to choose the school, and then you're going to choose the category. And then that is going to pull up any of the programs that they offer and any courses that they will pay for.
Ms. Neely, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Dual enrollment is free to all eligible high school students. And so the eligibility piece comes in with, do you meet the criteria for admissions to that school? And are you at least a 10th grader that meets the minimum criteria or planning to do career tech? Or are you a junior or senior? It's going to include required books and fees. Now, sometimes there's professors that will have optional requirements, and those are not covered. And so if it's optional and they haven't indicated that's a required document or required book, then they're not going to pay for it. What I will tell you is that I've had that experience with a student reaching out to me to tell me that there was something not covered. I contacted the dual enrollment office on her behalf. They were able to reach out to the professor, and the professor was able to change it to be a required thing so that they could get her the program she needed to download. Doesn't always happen, but it is worth asking about if you get something like that.
Hey, Ms. Neely, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
So there's stuff like eCourse. I don't really have a lot of kids that do that, but that is one where I think sometimes you do have to pay out of pocket to take a test. So the other change that happened is that there's funding only up to 30 semester hours or 45 quarter hours. So it's about 10 classes, and that is the max. So in years past, you could take as many classes as you wanted to. And that's why I think, they have, decided that 10th graders shouldn't really be taking it just because you're going to use all your funding before you graduate. And so they're trying to mainly push it towards 11th and 12th graders. The one thing you do need to know is it does not count against HOPE cap hours. And what that means is students are still eligible for their 127 undergrad semester hours upon graduating from high school, as long as they don't, there's some caveats to that, and that you can, for option B, you might have to dip into those funds a little bit to complete your degree. But for the most part, it's going to be, you'll still have your 127 hours.
Ms. Neely, can you hear me?
I know this is, something you probably have never realized, but there's two different types of dual enrollment. For the most part, our kids
Mrs. Neely,
Option A
I
is your
don't mean to
traditional
interrupt.
route of dual enrollment where you go and you might take English 1101 and Polish 1101 and Econ 2105, any of those type things. So those students that do option A are going to still complete their 23 credits to graduate and all the end of course tests. Some of the high school requirements would be taken through dual enrollment.
Excuse me, Miss Neely, can you hear me now? Miss Neely?
I'm getting a text from Ms. Robach. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can y'all not hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you,
Yes,
but
no, yes.
I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm getting text saying to turn my volume up on my speaker.
can you hear me, Mrs. Neely? Can you hear me, Mrs. Rohrbach?
Oh, now I can hear you. I couldn't hear anything you were saying.
Perfect. So I hate to interrupt you, but could you
You're good.
put the slide back up?
Yeah.
For people to sign in, because
Yeah.
I copied the link, but there's an error in the chat. And so if you could put that up for a few minutes and keep talking about what you're talking about, but that way they can log in, because we have like 112 people in here.
Okay. Sorry.
And for some reason, my link, copying it and pasting it, is not working in the chat.
Okay. Sorry. I really honestly wondered why it was so quiet. Didn't see you because I had you minimized. I was just talking away. All right. So yeah, let me go back to that screen. And I can pull it back up at the end as well.
Perfect.
There's a QR code. I don't know why it's not. Let me look at it real quick. Let me just see if it's working. Okay, it should be. All right, let's copy and paste it again and put it in the link or in the chat.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do. And for some reason, I did it twice and it's not working.
All right, somebody try that and then let me know if it doesn't work. Because I just clicked on it and it worked. So I don't know why it's not doing it otherwise.
It's not that it's not working. It's asking us to sign in to Microsoft. It's not
Okay,
giving us
then that's my
permission.
fault. All right. I will fix it. And it's because I didn't make it accessible to everybody. And that's my bad. All right, so let's go back. I'm going to talk about, while we're doing this, while I'm trying to fix it, I will keep talking about option B and option A. And so option A is going to be, like I said, your traditional. Can you guys see that screen still? I don't want you to see the one I'm working on though.
Can you enlarge it, please?
Yeah, I'm just trying to fix two things at once. So I will as soon as I can get back into the other. I'm trying to fix the sign-in sheet for you guys. Let me just do that real quick.
They're still struggling with the link, the QR
Okay.
code will take you
I
straight.
know. If you give me 1 second, I'm fixing it so that anybody can do it. It says anyone can respond, so it shouldn't be requiring you to log in. All right, let's try it again. Let's do it this way. Sorry, guys.
Some people are saying that it is working. Some people are saying if you take a picture of it, it works.
Okay, try that link.
And somebody said use a new browser. So use maybe Chrome. So
That
those are some
worked.
things.
It worked.
That worked. Awesome. All right.
Really, I have a question.
Yep.
So I personally, I did it, but my grandmother's sitting here with me and I was wondering if she needed to do the sign-in thing as well.
As long as you've indicated on there that she's signed it and watched and is here, then that's fine.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, let's get back to this. Okay, we good now?
Yeah.
All right, so college courses are going to be taken either at on the college campus or online from home with the college, through the college. And so that's one thing you do need to know, and I'm going to go over it again later, but if you're taking dual enrollment courses, you cannot be on campus when you're scheduled to be in those classes. And so we just don't have the staff to be able to oversee extra students on campus. And so you have to make sure you have that transportation to be able to get to and from those courses, the college. Option B is a little bit different. It's an alternative path to high school diplomas. And so, for instance, I have several students that have decided they want to go into the welding industry. And those students are earning their technical certificates in welding after they have completed the 9 courses required for high school. Like there's 9 specific courses that the state says you have to take. After they've taken those 9 specific courses, the rest of their coursework is specifically in the field that they are earning those certificates or that diploma in. So I've had students that have done a computer programming, computer networking, welding, and so there's some other diplomas as well. You used to be able to go all the way through and do an associate's degree, but with the funding cap, it's really not as realistic anymore to be able to do that. So most people are still only going to be able to do the diploma or the technical certificates. You graduate with the necessary credentials to move on to the chosen path in the world of work. It's not going to meet criteria to attend a traditional 4-year school upon graduation. So if a student went this route, went through the welding program and decided that they wanted to go back to college, they would need to start out the technical school first, do their core classes there, and then transfer to a 4-year college at a later point. They won't have the minimum you need to be admitted to a 4-year college immediately. Okay, and so a little bit more on option B, because it is a little different way of thinking about dual enrollment and sort of accessing it. So that's for the 9 classes you have to take 2 English. You must take American Lit and the American Lit EOC. That's a new rule that they just put in place. All of our 9th graders are going to take 9th Lit. So I said must take 9th and American Lit. 2 math, so Algebra 1 with the EOC and geometry. 2 science, the biology with the EOC and either earth systems or chemistry. 2 social studies, which are typically going to be world geography and world history, and that health and personal fitness. Beyond that, the Chat Tech is who does this. Like KSU is not going to do it, Georgia Highlands, none of them, but Chat Tech would work with us and they would create a plan of study. And so that is what we would use to advise from. So the programs that Chat Tech has are the computer programming, the welding, and computer information systems. I know the state has recently approved some additional courses or programs, but I don't know that Chat has all of them. I'm waiting for them to send me an updated flyer with that information on it. So just because it's not offered by Chat doesn't mean that you can't do it. There's other technical colleges that do have those courses, but Chat is the most convenient one because you've got Paulding County, you've got Ackworth campus, you've got Woodstock, you've got Canton, you've got Marietta. So we've got enough campuses around us to be able to easily get these courses in, where other colleges, you would have to make sure you could completely do the entire program online, since we do live in Ackworth, Kennesaw. All right, so you're going to have students that are going to enroll as dual enrollment students full-time, and you're going to have some that are going to do part-time. When I say full-time, that means they're going to take 12 to 15 credit hours at the college, which is about 4 to 5 classes. None of those classes would be taken at the high school or through Cobb Virtual or Georgia Virtual. It's definitely easier to schedule because there's no conflict with the Alatoona schedule. But it is going to be more challenging to get high school information and be involved with high school events. Not that it's impossible, it's just a little bit more challenging. Ms. Rohrbach and I do our best to try to get you guys the information as it comes through, but we don't know everything. So we strongly encourage you, even if you're not going to dual enroll, to follow all the social media through Alatoona, whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, whatever else we have. I think those are the only 2 that we post stuff on, but I would definitely follow, Twitter. Sorry, I'm like, there's one I'm missing. But I would follow those, even like I said, even if you're not a dual enrollment student, because all the announcements and stuff are going to be posted there. Ms. Kurtz does a good job putting that out there. As far as part-time dual enrollment goes, you've got students that are going to take at least a total of 4 units of high school credit each semester. That can be a combination of things. You can take 2 classes through dual enrollment and 2 at Alatoona. You can take 3 dual enrollment and 1 at Alatoona. You can take 1 at dual enrollment and 3 at Alatoona. So it's just whatever combination is going to work for you. Minimum day cannot be combined with part-time status, okay? So when you're a dual enrollment student, you cannot participate in minimum day because technically you're not at school half the time anyway, so you sort of already have a minimum day built into it. Because classes, if you think about it, you may have one class 2 days a week and another one 2 days a week, so you've got a lot of free time in there. Absences and tardies are not excused. So you've got to make sure when we're building your schedule, and this is a conversation I have with you when we do those individual meetings, is making sure that you're factoring in that extra time for
Turn it, put it so I can see it.
walking to and from class. You know, think about
Join that video.
transportation and things like that. I mean,
Hey, be quiet.
traffic and things like that. Let me see if I can mute.
I can't hear.
If you guys will, if you're not muted, if you'll go ahead and mute yourself, that would be great. Thank you. All right, so the thing is, the schedules are going to conflict. If you're not, go ahead and mute yourself, please. When
Can you guys be quiet?
when your part-time schedules are going to conflict potentially with your schedule, despite our best efforts, you know, you've got to be flexible and know that your Alatoona classes come first. When we're trying to schedule something, if there's a class that you've requested at Alatoona and we can't work your other schedule around that, your Alatoona stuff comes first because you're technically an Alatoona student before you were a dual enrollment student. Okay, so just keep that in mind that we do everything we can to try to help you and make sure it works out, but there may be some situations where we just can't do anything to make any changes. All right. So as far as awarding high school credit, you're going to have 2 transcripts once you start dual enrollment. The college is going to send us a copy of the transcript and they use letter grades. Those grades are going to be converted to numerical grades using the Cobb County policy. And so any of those grades that are going to come through, that's how we're going to average them into your Alatoona GPA. So keep in mind too, that the high school and college grading scales may not be the same. I have students that freak out on me that they've got a 70 in a class or a 65 in a class, and that might be passing at the college. That might be a D. So we're going to transcribe it as a 72, even if it's a D. I mean, if it's an F for us at a 65, it's not an F for the college. So we're going to do what the college told us your grade was, okay? Per Cobb County policy, you only get extra quality points if you have taken the highest level of that course offered at the local school prior to taking the dual enrollment course. So for instance, you took AP US History this year as a junior. You're not going to take the AP exam for whatever reason. You've decided not to. Well, then if you decide later on you want to take History 2111 or 2112 at the college, you've had a push, you didn't take the exam, but we're going to give you extra quality points for that history because you've taken the highest level course we offer in that area. Okay. If you just took US history and then you decided you want to go ahead and take the history at the college level to get that college credit, you're not going to get extra quality points for that because that's not the highest level of course we offer. Okay. So the college courses that appear on your transcript also satisfy NCAA core curriculum requirements for anyone that might be an athlete. All right. The other thing you need to know is all final grades factor into your Cobb County GPA, your high school Hope GPA, and your college GPA. Because remember, you're starting a college transcript. You still have your Alatoona transcript. And remember, we're also looking at Hope. Okay. High schools are going to require you have a D or higher to earn that high school credit. But the colleges are going to want to grade at least of C or higher to go to the next course or to be able to transfer that credit to another school. Okay, and each school sets their own requirements. Typically it is a C, but some schools are going to want you to have a B in order to go to the next level. And so those are some things to keep in mind as you're going through and choosing what classes you want to take. Something else I want you guys to really pay attention to is something called SAP. SAP is Satisfactory Academic Progress. If your GPA falls, so this is a federal thing. It's going to impact your future funding beyond high school if you fall below that SAP requirement. which means if you're below that, you're not eligible for any federal funding or any state funding until your GPA gets back up to satisfactory academic progress level. And so typically that's a 2.0, but there's some other factors that they calculate into it. If you go to any of the college's financial aid website, they give you, every school has a little bit of different criteria, but the bare minimum is a 2.0. So that's why I'm comfortable saying that. It's usually about, you have to pass 67% of your classes, be on track. So there's all these different things that I'm not well versed in, but I know that it'll hurt you if you fall below that 2.0. Okay. So your STAP status is based on your entire academic record at all schools attended. It includes your transferable hours. So when I say all schools attended, that's the colleges, not the high school. And that's regardless of whether you receive financial aid. So dual enrollment funding is not part of FAFSA. It's not counting against your HOPE, but it's still funding that the state has given you, and you're still taking college level courses. And so they are going to require that you meet the SAP eligibility. It's reviewed at the end of each term. They send you a warning. So you would get an email at the end of the semester if you had a 2.0 or lower. They're going to let you know, hey, you're close to not being eligible anymore. And so you always want to make sure you're checking your emails at the college. Once you've gone through that warning status, that warning period, if you've not gotten your GPA up to where it needs to be, then that's when they're going to suspend it and you're no longer eligible to receive financial aid. You have to then meet the SAP requirement before you can requalify for financial aid. And you'll need to pay for school through self-pay, private loans, or private scholarships. You can't use any federal or state money. So again, check that college's financial aid page for more information about their specific criteria. I was able to go to KSU, I was able to go to Chat Tech and pull it up pretty easily under their page because it is a federal requirement. So HOPE and dual enrollment, HOPE will award a 0.5 quality points for dual enrollment degree level courses up to a 4, sort of like taking your classes through Alatoona. You know, with HOPE, they take out the honors level, don't give you extra quality points there, but for APs, up to a 4 or an A, you get a half quality point. Your academic degree level courses are counted for the HOPE rigor requirement. So in order to be HOPE eligible, you have to have at least 4 classes that are considered rigorous. When you're taking classes with us at Alatoona, we make sure you're in those courses. So there's no question because it's just what we teach. But when you're taking them there, those degree level courses also are accounting to meet that HOPE rigor requirement. So any dual enrollment, any AP meets that. Regular DE courses do not count against your HOPE or Zell-Miller cap, which is that 127 semester hours for those planning to attend a 4-year college. Like I said a little while ago, that option B, they can use HOPE grant or HOPE career grant to complete their diploma or certificate program, and those do count against their HOPE cap. That is a separate conversation for someone who is going to do that option B, which remember is that alternative dual enrollment. It's not the traditional dual enrollment. Dual enrollment credits which have received dual enrollment funding are not counted as attempted hours once you enter college. So your HOPE GPA is going to start over for college. You're not going to get to take that GPA that you earned at the college with you to factor into that HOPE. They're still going to look at your HOPE hours at 30, 60, and 90 hours to determine if you're HOPE eligible. So you need to graduate from high school HOPE eligible, or you'll have to pay, and that's a whole separate conversation as well. That's stuff we talk to you usually about in junior advisement. All right, so can a student withdraw from a course? The short answer is yes, but it has to be within a certain window, okay? So you can withdraw from the courses, but you have to follow the Cobb County policy, not the dual enrollment policy. You will get email after email because you're still kind of lumped in as being a traditional college student, even though you're not. They may say, oh, you can still withdraw, no penalty. Well, if you withdraw, there is a penalty because you get a grade of 10 on your Alatoona transcript. And we're not going to let you just withdraw from a course because that's your class. You've got to be full-time status. And so now if it's within those first 10 days, and also keep in mind, if you take a class in the summer, you still have to abide by the 10 days, the first 10 days of summer school. Okay, so there's still that 10-day rule, and it's the 10 days, first 10 days of Cobb County summer school, not the college's summer school. So if you don't attend a class, if you don't do the no-show assignments that they require, they will drop you, and that will penalize you because now you've been dropped from a class and we've got to figure out what to do. And then that means you've got to still maintain full-time status. So I may have to put you in a class through Georgia Virtual or Cobb Virtual to make sure you still have a class, depending on at what point in the semester it is. But bottom line is you're not going to withdraw after the 10 days, okay? The other thing you need to know is Cobb does not allow students to self-pay for classes. So if you get to that 30 credit hours, you're done. And so you're not going to be able to pay for, parents aren't going to be able to just pay for the classes. Those won't be allowed on your schedule, and we can't put them on a transcript. If a student decides to withdraw from a class, you'll only be able to do it with 2 courses. That's a new rule dual enrollment's put in place. If you withdraw from 2 classes, you're done. You can no longer dual enroll. And that again is something, and that it also affects your SAP. Okay, so keep that in mind that it does impact that as well. All right, so how do college courses transfer to college from the high school? So all of the dual enrollment courses that are approved have a high school equivalent. For instance, if a student takes pre-calculus at the high school, if they're scheduled to take that, they can take pre-calculus at the college. If a student is going to take English as a senior, whereas we would have them take Brit Lit or AP Lit, they would take English 1101. And that's going to give them, that's going to fulfill that high school requirement, but also their first year of English at the college. Not all of the courses required for high school are available through dual enrollment. There's not an equivalent course to Algebra 2. You have to take that at the high school before you can take a math at the college. There's just no way to do that. They don't have an equivalent prior to that. Not all of the college courses are available through DE, meaning there's lots of college courses out there, but dual enrollment's not going to pay for all of them. And so remember, there's a directory of the approved courses and elective courses on Georgia Futures, where I showed you earlier how to find it. And so this is just an example. So English 1101 will go on the high school transcript as advanced comp and serves as the 4th English. You've got Math 1101 or Math 1111. Both of those would qualify as your 4th math option. And then colleges are typically going to use test scores to determine entry level into math or English. I know right now with people not requiring the test scores, you're only going to be able to start at like Math 1111 or English 1101. Without a test score, you're not going to be able to go to a higher level math. So if you've got, like for Chat Tech, you can use PSAT scores. I don't know what KSU is doing for any type of math placement, but I know they have a math placement test. All right, so dual enrollment classes transfer to other colleges. The answer is yes. The state has determined which courses are going to transfer. There are 28 courses that will transfer within the University System of Georgia colleges. And so what that means is you've got, if you go to Chat Tech, there's 28 classes that are guaranteed to transfer to, let's say, KSU, okay? They will take them. But remember, you've got to have at least a C or higher for it to transfer. So just because you took it doesn't mean you get the credit for it. You can check the transferability of other courses through GA Tracks, which is also on Georgia Futures. You can also go to the private and out-of-state colleges and look on their websites. If you go, usually it's on the admissions page under undergrad, but there's a transfer page. You wouldn't apply as a transfer, you're going to apply as a first-time freshman, but if you're looking for the transferability, you're going to look under that transfer page. All right, so extracurriculars, you're definitely able to do that. You're still an Alatoona student if you're a dual enrollment student. So you can still do clubs, you can do sports, you can do prom and graduation, everything, you're still ours. You're just taking your classes at a different location. So, but it's the student's responsibility to make sure that those extracurriculars don't interfere with college courses, your requirements, or your attendance. So if you play a sport, and you know that you're going to have practice, or there's going to be days that you're going to have an early game, you're going to have to leave campus early to get to wherever you're going, you don't want to schedule a dual enrollment class for the afternoon, because if you miss that class, that's going to hurt your grade in that class. Because professors are not required to give you makeup work. And a lot of times at the college, They're not going to do that. It's not like high school where you're like, okay, no problem. I know you're excused for your sport. They don't care. You're supposed to be in their class, doing their work, and they expect that you're going to be there. So just keep that in mind. All right, so what does it take to be a successful dual enrollment student? These are some things I really want you to think about, okay? I've spent the last couple of days going through and looking at some data in terms of my kids that have been successful and those that have not. Definitely you want to make sure that you're somebody who's organized, that you are proactive. I think I mixed that one up. You got to be flexible, able to handle stress. I missed that first top one up. Assertive, because you've got to advocate for yourself. These professors are not going to talk to your parents because you're not in high school, you're in college. As a student, the student is expected to be the person who handles everything. They should be the one completing the application. They should be the one doing the funding, everything, because students need to know how to do it. I can't help you because I need you to be able to know how to log in. And if you come in my office and tell me you need help with something and you don't even know what your username and password is, that's a problem. How are you going to be able to handle it when you get to the college campus? So you've got to make sure that you're a good advocate, that you are able to handle all of those types of things. You also need to make sure, you're in class with older people. It's not just dual enrollment high school age students in there. Now, granted, you'll probably have several, but there could be students of all ages in there. And so you have to be able to handle whatever conversation and discussion is going to take place, because they're not going to screen it for you, okay? You need to be independent. You need to make sure you're checking and responding immediately to emails and communications that you have between either myself or Ms. Rohrbach to you, or through your campus, through your dual enrollment office or the professor. Some points to consider: there may be some mandatory fees. Most credits are not given weight for the Cobb County GPA. They are challenging courses taught by college professors, and they can teach whatever they want. Professors do not communicate with parents. Students are treated as college students and will be in class with older college students and adults, like older adults. So I'm talking my age, all the way through. So college grades do not appear in CTLS or Parent View. The student would have to access that through whatever type of system the college uses. You must maintain the satisfactory academic progress. College and high school calendars often do not align. And you need to hear that, because we got lots of breaks in Cobb. And if you decide you want to go on a cruise, your child is missing class, because most likely the college is not on break. And that's going to impact their grade, because if you went to college, you remember that some professors are going to put in an attendance policy. And if you miss too many days, you automatically fail. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Now, if you're doing online and you'll have access to the online stuff once you leave, once you go out of town, that's no problem. You just got to make sure you take your computer with you and have internet access. Some of the competitive colleges may consider AP to be more rigorous. So dual enrollment may not be the best place for you. Credit transferability is not guaranteed. Even though there are 28 classes that are guaranteed to transfer within the state of Georgia, they may not transfer out of state. And if you take something that's not on that transfer list, it may not transfer. Special student services. So if you are someone who has an IEP or a 504 plan, the student has to arrange that directly with the college. If the parent sends an email, they are not going to respond. The student has to communicate with them through the college email. You have to provide your own transportation. Make sure you're factoring in that travel time, traffic, changing bell schedules. Lack of daily interaction with friends may impact relationships and involvement. And for some people, they're like, I don't care, I don't really like being there anyway. But for others, that is an important part of their life. They need that interaction. They want to be around their friends. And so I've had students that thought they wanted to do dual enrollment. It wasn't what they thought it was going to be. And so they came back because they did miss those friendships. They needed that connection. DE students are not allowed to be on Alatoon's campus during the school day. This includes our athletic fields, the trail, the media center, gym, cafeteria, classrooms, anywhere on the campus, unless you were there for before or after school for a club or a sport. If you have a scheduled class at Alatoona, of course, we're going to let you on campus. But if your class is second block, you can't come hang out at 8:30 in the morning and stay until 10 when your class starts. You can't come in the building until right before your class starts, okay? Or if you're there to meet with one of us as a counselor, that we have an appointment scheduled. Well, we just can't have you on campus. One, it's a safety issue. Two, with COVID, it's more people to contact trace. So you also have to attend your classes regularly. This includes both your Alatoona and your dual enrollment. And again, you may miss those high school announcements and information distributed in homeroom. So if this is somebody, if you have a friend in your homeroom, once we go back to that homeroom schedule or even your first block, make sure that you know somebody that's going to be able to give you that information and that you're following the stuff on social media. Like I said, Ms. Robach and I try to get everything out, but we don't know everything's going on. So steps to apply. There is an intent form, okay? If you are going to dual enroll in the summer, the fall, or the spring, you must submit that intent form during registration next week, okay? And so the reason that is, it tells us who's planning to dual enroll. So even if you're not going to do summer or fall and you know you just want to do it in the spring, you're still going to submit that because that gives us an idea on numbers, because we have to create a master schedule. And if we create a schedule with all these people that we're not going to dual enroll and then all of a sudden you do, that messes everything up. So we need to know in advance, if you do not submit that intent form, you are not allowed to dual enroll next school year, okay? You're going to complete and submit the dual enrollment application for the specific college. That is on you as a student. You have to log in and do that application. You're going to submit a high school transcript to the college if it's required. For instance, Chat doesn't require a high school transcript, but KSU does. And so you'll go into My Payments Plus. There is a dual enrollment transcript option you'll choose from. It will alert Ms. Robach and myself, and then we will send that transcript for you. You're going to submit qualifying test scores to the college, again, if they're required. I know right now, a lot of the schools have waived that requirement for fall of 2021 and summer as well. You're going to complete the dual enrollment paperwork and dual enrollment funding. All of that is on the Alatoona website on the dual enrollment page. You're going to email myself or Ms. Robach, depending on what school you're planning to attend, and we will help you, and you're going to schedule an appointment with us. You need to have this paperwork filled out prior to that meeting so that we can complete it in the meeting. You're going to attend that meeting with us. You're going to submit all the required documents to the college. Again, that is your responsibility. I don't submit that for you. Ms. Robach doesn't submit that for you. You have to do it. We also expect that you join our Remind. I have so many kids at Chat Tech that I have 2 Reminds. I have a parent Remind and I have a student Remind. And I don't know how Ms. Robach is set up. I mean, I can have her tell us in a second, but I will send, if I send a text to the kids, it goes to the parents as well. And it says, hey, just sent this out to the kids. And it's usually a, hey, make sure you follow up with them. Register for orientation or advisement with the college, whatever that process looks like for them. You're going to register for classes during that window, and then you're going to provide us a copy of your schedule, a detailed copy of your schedule. And we have a lot of that information on our Alatoona dual enrollment page. All right, so most of our students, and I've said Chat and KSU a lot, but that's typically where our students are going to go because they are the closest ones to us. There are other approved dual enrollment programs that there's a list in Georgia Futures. For instance, Ms. Robach has somebody taking classes through Embry-Riddle. And so they will pay for that as well. All right, so our deadlines, and this is something that you really need to know. If you're going to enroll for the summer, you need to meet with me by February 12th for Chat Tech. If you're going to enroll for summer for KSU, you need to meet with Ms. Robach by March 1st. Now, if you're not going to register in the summer, please do not try to make an appointment with us before those dates, okay? Because that's gonna mess somebody else up from getting an appointment that is going to take classes in the summer. Wait until after that date to schedule an appointment, because if you're gonna dual enroll in the fall or beginning in the fall, you're gonna do that. You have until April 16th to meet with us, or me for Chat, and March 18th to meet with Ms. Robach for KSU. For spring, we're gonna wait until probably first semester for that. And because that deadline's not out yet, and those deadlines typically aren't going to be until October, November. So we're going to wait. Now you're still going to turn the intent form in, Okay, so that we know that we should be expecting to meet with you. Because if we don't have that, we don't know. Just keep in mind that our deadline is typically 2 weeks before the college's deadline. And this is the deadline you have to adhere to, no exceptions to that. Because not only are we juggling 50, 60, 70 dual enrollment kids, we still have our other caseloads and our other responsibilities as counselors that we have to do. And so my whole life can't be dual enrollment. So that's why we try to, make sure that we've got time. The other piece of that is we've got to make sure you've got all your documents in. So if you're missing something, you have time before the deadline to get it in. So if you're interested in another dual enrollment, check that college's website to see when their dual enrollment deadline is and subtract 2 weeks from that. Okay, because again, we would like 2 weeks prior to that. And especially right now, if you're going to be quarantined or not. So we're trying to make sure that we're juggling all of that. But it's in your best interest to be admitted well before course registration. The later you wait, the fewer classes are going to be available. Okay. And then most colleges are going to require that you attend an orientation before you can even register. So your job is to look at the Allerton website, know our deadlines, know our process, but also check out the college that you're planning to apply for dual enrollment, go to their dual enrollment page to get all their specific information. All right, so just keep in mind it's students and parents' responsibility to review all the dual enrollment information and understand expectations and requirements. It's really recommended for 11th and 12th graders because again, you're really only going to be able to go part-time if you start too early. Typically a senior is going to be able to go full-time and that's it if you're looking at just those 30 hours. So just something we're going to spread it out as much as we can, but we have to abide by those 30 credit hours. Colleges have set their own grade and age requirements. Admission requirements are going to vary by each school. You can do full and part-time. It's available fall, spring, and summer. Used to be KSU, you couldn't start in the summer, but they've changed that this year. Again, there's no residency or citizenship requirement. You have to apply by that Allerton deadline, not the college's deadline. And you want to apply early to make sure all of your documents have been submitted. All right, so there's my contact information and Ms. Rohrbach's information. Again, it's on our Allerton counseling page as well. I don't think I have anything beyond that. All right. Ms. Rohrbach, do we have any questions out there that we need to answer? Or have you been answering?
I've been answering some.
Okay.
Question specifically about the intent form, and I just said if you're face-to-face and you've had it done, to just turn it into our counseling office in between classes or in the morning or whatever. If you're not face-to-face, Ms. Neely, I'm thinking scan it send it to us as a PDF, send it to whichever counselor represents the school that you're going to go to so that we have it ourselves. So that's my answer for that one.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions that I didn't cover as we went through that you can either put it in the chat or you can ask me?
For a second, I would like to just say a couple of things if you don't mind, Ms. Neely.
Yeah.
For a KSU remind text, I don't have as many KSU students as Chattahoochee Tech does. So I just have one remind and all that information is on the website. I would recommend, I do want to make sure that everyone joins that remind because that's such a great way for us to get in touch with you and you to get in touch with us. And it is like a text. So like sometimes in the summer, Ms. Neely and I are off in the summer, but our office works on Wednesdays and sometimes things come up. So the remind is a great way to get a hold of us because we're not going to be checking our emails really regularly. So that remind text is so important for you to make sure you join once you get accepted. The other thing I want to say is to beware of some professors, to go to rate your professor, to pick your professors, but still I just wanted to remind everybody that this is college and Alatoona is awesome and our Alatoona teachers are spectacular. But whatever you decide to choose, I have run into some situations where there's been some professors that are tough and tough on students and they don't know that you're dual enrollment and that you're in high school. And sometimes it's a little tricky. So I just want to remind you that that could happen. So you have to be ready for that and figure out how you're going to handle that. Now, I'm not saying don't do it because guess what? If you're a dual enrollment student, you're probably going to go on to a 4-year college as a true freshman. And so this is going to be a great practice for you in how to deal with those situations going forward. But I want to throw that out there now to everybody to make sure you know that this is definitely not just high school teachers, because we have had real life experiences. Also, there's sometimes a couple grades for the whole semester. So I just want to make sure that you recognize that. Like I have a couple students that they had two tests, a midterm and a final. That's a little scary if you do really bad on your midterm and then you don't actually know going into the final if you're even passing that class. And I'm not trying to scare everybody, but I really want you to have a real understanding of some things that have happened before. And so, you know, that's just, and that is college. My daughter's in college, that happens. Sometimes you have two tests or you have two tests in one project. So Alatoona, we have lots of stuff that helps boost your grade up, or if you get down, you can, and you mess up on something, you have a lot of opportunities to, you know, to do well on something else. But I just want to throw that out there. There's a couple other things I was thinking. I don't know.
Ms. Rohrbach, can I jump in for a second?
Yes, please do, Ms. Wilkes.
So I want to say hello. I'm so impressed with all of the participants we have here. 95 I see on our group. And so some of the things that Ms. Neely and Ms. Rohrbach are sharing are actual experiences that we have had for our students. And so that's one of the things that we come up with situations that surprise us sometimes. And so one of the things that I want as parents and as students to think about is the maturity level, the level of responsibility of the, you know, your high school student or you as a high school student where you are. If it takes a lot of reminders and you're not a self-starter, then dual enrollment may not be for you. If you're that student who is organized, on top of everything, that your mom and dad don't have to remind you, oh, look in Synergy or look in CTLS and see what you need to do, then dual enrollment may be perfect. College is not as flexible as high school. Just what Ms. Rohrbach was saying, professors are not as flexible. They, in their minds, are dealing with young adults. And so they address their class and handle their class in that manner. Mom and dads who are listening, they will not communicate with you. And so no matter what you do, no matter which advocate you reach out to on the college campus, those college professors are only going to talk to the college student enrolled in dual enrollment. And so that was sometimes a surprise. So you can't reach out and ask for a conference. You can't reach out and ask for assignments they need to do. It is solely on the student. Make sure as you're planning through this process, you are not last minute. Ms. Neely and Mrs. Rohrbach definitely deal with a lot of students. And so while you may say, oh, it's only a week after the deadline, it is after the deadline. And we will stick with that. If you turn in your documents by their deadlines, then they will most definitely be able to take care of you and help you through the process. But they're not dealing with one or two students. We're dealing with hundreds of students. Alatoona actually has more dual enrollment students than any other high school in Cobb County. I think because of our proximity to Chat Tech and KSU, it really makes it a good opportunity. And so they deal with huge numbers, but they also have all their other students that they must take care of that are high school students in our building. We are happy to answer questions along the way as you prepare and make these decisions. Remember that registration is taking place next week for our high school courses. And as Ms. Neely said, I want to reiterate, you're a Alatoona high school student first. And so we will not move the Alatoona schedule to fit the college. The college has to fit in to where we have our courses. So that's another consideration. We don't go there first and then reshape the Alatoona schedule. So happy to answer more questions. I know that Ms. Neely and Ms. Rohrbach are quite knowledgeable. Sometimes we have so much information, we're not sure exactly what parents want to hear. And I know it was a lot of information tonight. And I know that they will be posting the